The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
How does a WNBA role player suddenly go viral and become a household name with the potential to make millions? Not with a buzzer beater, not with a highlight reel dunk, but with one fierce, unapologetic foul. This is the story of how Sophie Cunningham's now legendary flagrant foul didn't just protect Caitlin Clark. It exposed the WNBA's double standards, united fans across the country, and in just 48 hours, completely flipped her career upside down. From role player to viral icon, Sophie didn't just make a play, she made a statement.
Southern going coast to coast. And here's we got another.
Tensions were already sky high heading into the matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. For weeks, fans had watched in disbelief as Caitlin Clark, the rookie rewriting WNBA viewership records, was treated less like a superstar and more like a target. But this one felt different. It didn't just cross the line, it shattered it. Things boiled over when JC Sheldon took a swipe and nailed Clark right in the face. At that moment, everything changed.
Teams are going to have to think twice about messing with Caitlin Clark again.
Just moments later, Marina Mabrey barreled into Caitlin Clark with a full-on body check, the kind of hit that would have earned an automatic ejection in the NBA. It wasn't basketball, it was a blatant targeted takedown. The Sun sent their message loud and clear, but the response from the officials, even louder. Crickets. No flagrant, no ejection, just a weak technical foul. It's as if Clark getting bulldozed to the floor was just part of the game. The league's brightest star was assaulted in plain sight, and the refs acted like it was no big deal.
They didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom!
Wow. The game was quickly spiraling into a televised display of blatant disrespect, and nobody on the court or in the league office seemed willing to step in. For fans watching at home, the vibe was pure frustration mixed with disbelief. The WNBA was standing by while its biggest draw, the player filling arenas and breaking viewership records, was being humiliated. It felt like they were letting their golden goose get roasted right in front of the world, and people were done staying silent.
When they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs.
But then, with the Fever comfortably in control, everything changed. Sophie Cunningham had finally seen enough. As JC Sheldon drove toward the rim, Sophie stepped in and delivered a foul so hard, so intentional, there was zero doubt what it meant. This wasn't a basketball play, it was a statement, a flagrant, a receipt. And for the thousands in the arena and the millions watching across the country, it wasn't just a foul, it was justice.
Watch when Caitlin Clark is trying to create some space. It looked like she just got hit in the eye there.
Ooh, and Marina Mabrey. I missed that one, Idona.
This wasn't some random retaliation or cheap foul. It was a declaration. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just making a point to the Connecticut Sun, she was putting the entire WNBA on notice. The free hits on Caitlin Clark? Over. This was the moment fans had been begging for. A teammate finally stepping up. An enforcer. A protector who made it crystal clear, not on my watch. That one foul wasn't just physical. It was the answer to the question every fan had been shouting for weeks. When is someone going to stand up for her? And now we all know the answer. Sophie Cunningham.
This angle is wild, folks. There's the eye gouge. Watch Mabrey. Boom. I mean, come on.
It made me think if this was LeBron in the NBA, think if this was Steph Curry in the NBA, do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected. Just a common technical foul. That would never happen. It would never happen.
The internet reaction was instant and explosive, but what followed was wildly divided. One side erupted in outrage. A petition popped up demanding Sophie Cunningham be banned from the WNBA altogether. She was labeled a thug, a menace, and accused of setting a bad example for the league. Social media lit up with angry takes, furious posts, and calls for her immediate suspension. But as the outrage grew louder, so did the hypocrisy, because the same people who stayed silent when Caitlin Clark was getting pushed, tripped, and elbowed were now furious that someone finally pushed back.
Even as good as that rating was, Caitlin Clark's good for about 1 million extra viewers.
Just a few months ago, during a preseason matchup, Sophie Cunningham was the one who got slammed to the floor by a brutal foul. And guess what? Many of the same people now calling for her to be kicked out of the league were cheering it on back then. They defended the hit, they praised the aggressor, some even said, that's just how the game goes. It exposed something ugly. This was never really about a hard foul. It was about who Sophie was standing up for. That one play drew a bold line in the sand. And just like that, the war for public opinion was on. A battle revealing a deep, bitter divide across the entire WNBA fan base.
And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, that's the understatement.
While the online mob raged, signing petitions and hurling insults, Sophie Cunningham was busy crafting the ultimate clapback. No statement, no apology, no back and forth with the haters. She didn't waste a second explaining herself. Instead, she did something way more powerful. She hopped on social media and simply hit retweet on a post announcing that her Indiana Fever jersey had officially sold out. That one click, louder than 1,000 angry tweets. Just like that, the outrage collapsed into silence.
That's a flagrant foul.
The message couldn't have been louder. Complain all you want. The fans have spoken, and they're speaking with their wallets. This wasn't just a viral moment, it was checkmate. A modern-day masterclass in flipping outrage into opportunity. Sophie Cunningham didn't just silence the critics, she turned their hate into a headline. And a sold-out jersey. The support for her wasn't just loud, it was lucrative.
And I truly think that this was a message that she was sending to the leagues, to the officiating, just like to everybody, because it is, if you are watching any of these games, you are seeing that there is a disparity in the way that it's being officiated, and the Indiana Fever are held to a standard that no other team is held.
This sudden surge in fame? It wasn't some random fluke. Sophie Cunningham had tapped, maybe even by accident, into one of the strongest forces in all of sports today, the Clark Army. Caitlin Clark's fan base isn't just massive, it's loyal, loud, and locked in. They don't just watch, they organize, they rally, and they go to war for anyone who stands beside their star.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected.
We've seen this story play out before. Kate Martin, a second-round pick out of Iowa, outsold the league's reigning MVP in jersey sales, just because she shared the court with Caitlin Clark. Now imagine what happens when a player doesn't just play alongside Clark, but steps up and physically defends her in the exact moment fans feel she's most under attack. That's what Sophie Cunningham did. She became more than a teammate. She became the bodyguard. And in return, the Clark Army made her a star. Her social media exploded by the hundreds of thousands in under 2 days. And suddenly, her name was everywhere.
Again, the league's been handed this miracle, this beacon of light, while it was down in some dungeon in the basement on life support, and it was never turned a profit, lost $40 million last year. They get handed this beacon of light, and all these players cannot stand her. They're jealous, the players union, it looks like the whole league.
But calling Sophie Cunningham just a goon or lucky enforcer, that'd be a massive mistake. The truth is, she always had star power. This moment just threw a spotlight on it. Way before her Indiana Fever debut, Sophie was already carving out a media lane, working the mic as a sharp, confident analyst for the Phoenix Suns. She's got the full package: smart, eloquent, camera ready, everything today's athlete needs to be more than just a player. She's a brand in the the making.
So this is a petition to get Sophie Cunningham removed from the WNBA. What she displayed tonight was disgusting.
Now look, you might think this is just internet noise or a silly little petition.
On the floor, Sophie Cunningham is more than muscle. She's a seasoned vet, a reliable sniper from deep, and the exact kind of gritty leadership this young Indiana Fever squad was starving for. Plenty of analysts already labeled her the most overlooked pickup of the offseason. They just didn't know how fast the world was about to catch on. Because Sophie isn't just out there to protect the franchise star, she's a certified hooper. And now, she's got the storyline to turn into a name everyone in basketball remembers.
The anti-Clark fans, I am seeing them not only celebrate Kiiri Afen in this situation, but say that Sophie Cunningham was at fault for what happened, and she got what she deserved, and saying good job Kiiri Afen.
So how does one hard foul turn into millions in potential earnings? Simple. It starts with a tidal wave of social media momentum. That surge in followers. It's not just about clout, it's prime digital real estate. To major brands, those numbers don't just represent fans. They represent direct access to the most loyal, active, and high-spending audience in the women's sports world. And that kind of attention, it doesn't just get noticed, it kicks down doors.
We are seeing literal people, not threats of violence, but people encouraging violence against a player. And that's not on. That's not on for nothing. There are people literally out there encouraging violence against Sophie Cunningham. And these are the people that want to say another fan base is the worst fan base in the WNBA, and they're encouraging literal violence against players.
The kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, it's on site when I see you. Those are actual threats.
It always starts local. Car dealerships, hometown restaurants, and Indiana businesses all wanting a piece of the Fever's new fan favorite. But once the buzz spreads, it gets big, fast. National brands, they'll be lining up. From energy drinks to athletic gear, everyone wants to team up with the woman now seen as Caitlin Clark's bodyguard. A role that's not just protective, but powerfully marketable. This isn't just a moment, it's a brand. And somewhere, her agent's probably fielding non-stop calls, flipping one bold act of loyalty into a long-term money-making machine.
Guys, it's actually insane how viral this has already gone. There's so many NBA accounts who are tweeting it. I was getting ESPN notifications about it. Like, it is wild how much traction.
Sophie Cunningham's jersey has sold out. I repeat, the Sophie Cunningham Fever jersey has sold out.
But this moment wasn't just about the money. Sophie Cunningham's bold move reshaped the unwritten rules of the WNBA. She put the league in a tight spot. On one hand, they can't be seen as giving Caitlin Clark preferential treatment. On the other, they can't keep turning a blind eye while their biggest star takes hit after hit. Sophie, she gave them a solution. She became the league's unofficial enforcer, setting a new precedent where if the refs won't protect the face of the WNBA, her teammates will.
They got beat up by the enforcers. But Sophie Cunningham has responded to the petition by just retweeting a freaking post about her jersey being sold out. That is a response. That is quote tweeting the petition. Like, that is the best way of going about it.
Now, the biggest deterrent to cheap shots isn't just a whistle from the officials. It's the very real possibility of a teammate stepping in with force, backed by millions of passionate fans. Sophie Cunningham didn't just send a message, she drew up the blueprint. In the Caitlin Clark era, being the fearless protector isn't just honorable, it's lucrative. Her bold stand turned loyalty and grit into a fast track for stardom, something no locker room speech could ever accomplish.
I wonder how much money Sophie Cunningham is going to make on endorsement deals this summer. Like, I think Sophie Cunningham's endorsement deals are going to go into the millions, are going to be in the millions this year. I think they're going to be in the millions this year. Because if you are not only like good in front, like she's good in front of a camera, she is now known as the Caitlin Clark's enforcer. And like, it's something that matters. It's something that really, really matters.
At its core, that single hard foul was never just about the scoreboard. It marked a seismic shift. It pulled the curtain back on the WNBA's officiating problem, elevated Sophie Cunningham to fan favorite status, and reshaped the definition of value in the Caitlin Clark era. Sophie didn't just defend her teammate, she ignited a movement. When no one else had the guts to take a stand, she did. And that moment of defiance didn't just earn her respect, it earned her the loyalty of millions, and likely a wave of endorsement deals that'll make her WNBA paycheck look like pocket change.
For me to come in here knowing what I've been taught, I kind of want to spread it around, especially with how talented this group is. I'm just excited to kind of maybe be that calm piece when it needs to be calm, that feisty, sassy, stick up for my teammates when it needs to be that. And so just kind of reading the room and, you know, whatever the team needs that day, being able to provide.
Sophie's rise has sparked a powerful new blueprint in the WNBA. One that goes beyond skill alone. It's clear now, the quickest way to superstardom isn't just lighting up the scoreboard, it's standing firmly in Caitlin Clark's corner when it counts. The only question now is, who's next? If you made it this far, drop a basketball in the comments. And thanks for watching.